Welcome to the Good Games Podcast, episode number 168. This is a show where we talk about video games and gamer-related things. My name is Frank from Palm Manso, and I'm your host. And as always, I'm joined by the co-host of the show, Alex Nunez. What's happening, man?
Not much, Frank. How you doing this week?
Doing okay, man. Wow, the tables have turned. Nobody ever asked me how I'm doing. I did want to kind of start off this episode by wishing you and everyone that's listening and everyone out there happy Video Games Day. Yay! That's today. Yay. That's today. It is not he's like, yay.
I just said that because it's like the most fake holiday thing. Everything's a day now.
It kind of is like a, not exactly like a Hallmark holiday, but it is definitely a made up holiday for some whatever reason. I think just to keep people's spirits up. And sure, that's the reason. So but I mean, it's cool. It's happy Video Games Day, man. I hope that you played lots of video games. Well, actually, as you guys are listening to this, it's not Video Games Day. It's Video Games Day now as we record. It's 2 days later for you guys, but just want to wish you retroactively happy Video Games Day.
Man, on the Good Games Podcast is Video Games Day every day.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Right?
Every day is Video Games Day. You should be playing video games every single day.
Keep your mind sharp.
It really does, though. There are so many benefits to it. There's so many benefits, and there's not a lot of detriment to playing video games. It improves your problem solving, improves cognitive skills. There's so many good things about games, man, and that's why we do this goddamn show every fucking week.
I just hate that there's still that stigma around video games. Like, oh, you still play video games? Like you watch like TV and stuff. You do other like dumb shit that doesn't like benefit society as a whole, right? Like, what's the difference?
You see, that's the funny thing too, because I swear, I think I was having this conversation with someone a little while ago. It's the same thing. It's like someone's like, well, aren't you a little old to be playing video games? And I'm like, well, you sit in front of the TV all day.
Yeah.
And whereas when I'm playing video games, I'm actually keeping my mind my mind is still active.
Yeah.
Whereas you're just sitting down, doing nothing, just staring at the screen.
Yeah, when you're playing a video game, you're usually fully engaged with what's happening on screen.
Right.
Like you're in control of what's happening. You need to solve these problems or go from one place to another or figure out what the hell is going on. Your mind is, or your mental faculties are all in use. Yeah,
man. And it's like I'd rather be sitting in one spot, actually having my mind exercise, than sitting in one spot and just not doing anything, just not contributing, just not nothing is going on with TV. I'll be honest with you, I don't watch a whole lot of TV.
Yeah.
It's because of my wife that I watch a lot of TV, but I don't watch a whole lot of TV, but I do play a lot of games, and I love it that it just engages your brain so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Happy Video Games Day, man.
Hooray.
Yay. So
where's my cake?
It's a made up holiday. It's a made up day.
Hey, Frank, guess what? They're all made up holidays.
Oh my God.
Somebody had to make them up.
Corporations. It's corporations, man. Yeah. No, but I think this is just another excuse to play video games, and I'm okay with that, man. That's awesome for me.
Yeah,
it's awesome to me. I kind of think I kind of thought this was like the second or third time this year that this holiday occurred, though. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. It feels like the first time I've been hearing about it. So, whatever that's worth.
I could have sworn it was at least the second time this year. But it might have been an anniversary of something pretty significant in video games that I might be confusing it with. But I have to fact check myself and see what that was, because I know for sure. But in any case, yay! And I have been playing lots of video games, but I'm not going to get into all of those video games. But let's start the show.
Okay.
Right. And I'm gonna just get the popcorn. Well, actually, I already have the popcorn, and I'm just gonna listen to you talk about this game that you've been dying to talk about for years. So this is the start of what I'm sure I'm going to be hearing about for the next like 2 or 3 months. So
maybe. Who knows?
Maybe. So please go ahead and tell us about Destiny 2. Because I had to say it because it's no secret.
No. If you've been listening to the show, you should know better by now. But goddamn, Destiny 2 is fucking amazing.
Really?
It's really good.
Really?
Yeah, really good.
How so?
Well, I guess first off the bat, they nailed one of the biggest criticisms of the first game, which was its lackluster story. And I think they did a really good job with Destiny 2's story. It's not doing anything game changing in terms of like plot and storytelling. There's a lot of, definite tropes and stuff like that, but it is an enjoyable story. It is an easy to follow story. You understand why you're doing the things that you're doing. And yeah, I have like a few nitpicks here and there with the story. It does kind of sag in the middle. There's not like you're going off and trying to gather the vanguard, and that part of the game is probably the weakest part of the story. But that last third is they go full on bombastic. It very much is reminiscent of like the old Halo games in terms of how those games ended. A lot of vehicle stuff. So it's like a lot of, especially the set pieces too, are so crazy in that last third of the story. It's, man, you're doing some crazy shit and looking at some spectacular vistas, and they did right. They did right by the story for the first time in a long time. So
that's really good.
I was kind of happy with that. I think I will say too, my other criticism of the story is that they do set up an interesting villain in Gaul, but I feel like they kind of resolve that a little too quickly. They don't do enough with him, I think. It's kind of weird because when you're playing the campaign, your Guardian pretty much has no direct contact with Gaul outside of like the beginning or the first mission. But as you're like traipsing around the solar system and doing other things, occasionally you will kind of transition back to Gaul, what he's doing in your city, and you just see some scenes with him, which are kind of interesting. You get a better sense of the character and what he is trying to accomplish and why. But yeah, other than that, you have no direct contact. There's no like butting of heads with the main villain until like the very end. And it felt kind of disappointing in that regard. And yeah, it's just, again, nothing mind-blowing about the story, but it is enjoyable. It's kind of like the equivalent of like a good popcorn action flick movie. It's just good fun. Okay.
That's good. I mean, that's better than having a story that like makes no sense or is just completely boring.
Yeah.
Hard to follow, especially when the first game had none.
Yeah.
It's not a good transition.
Or barely any story.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that Bungie is willing to make fun of themselves. It just shows that like self-awareness, because there are a couple lines from the first Destiny where they kind of revisit those lines and put them in different areas of the game and reuse them in fun ways. Like there's a throwback to the I don't have time to explain line, which is a kind of an infamous line from the first Destiny. I also think they do a weird thing where I kind of was hoping that they would kind of revert back to what they did in Destiny 1, which was actually make your Guardian speak in Destiny. In the very first, like the vanilla version of Destiny, there was a few cutscenes where your Guardian spoke. Ever since then, all the expansions that have come out since, your Guardian has not spoken once. And that kind of continues in Destiny 2. And I'm like, I hate that the ghost is kind of like just talking over all the time.
Being
like
your voice.
Yeah, like there's actually one scene where your Guardian is about to speak, and then the Guardian and the ghost cuts him off. Like, oh, God damn it! Like, I don't understand, man. I get it. I guess like trying to pay 6 voice actors to just do a couple of lines here and there, maybe a little expensive, but this is like Bungie. This is a multi-million solid. This is like a fucking huge ass franchise. Like you guys have like so much star power in there. Like you can get a couple of like no-name actors And no offense, of course, to like the voice actors that are doing them, but like they're not on the caliber as like, you know, Nathan Fillion and Bill Nighy and Gina Torres and all the other freaking voice actors that they have and are doing lines for this game. It's like, come on.
I mean, they could have, yeah, they definitely could have invested in like professional voice actors as well. You know, like that's not, you know, that's not such a bad thing.
Yeah.
you know, the people you mentioned are like actors, like, you know, you actually see their faces on screen and stuff, but like they could have invested in like, you know, Nolan North, Troy Baker.
Well, they already got Nolan North, man. He's the Ghost.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's the new Ghost. It's right after the Peter Dinklage fiasco.
Yeah. Good old times. I miss my Dinklebot.
Good times. It sounded like death.
There were a couple lines that were okay. Like when they made the transition and Nolan North had to re-record all the voice lines, I was like, oh man, I miss some of those old Dinklebot lines.
Yeah. Well, apparently the majority did not. Because they got him out with the quickness.
Yeah, they did. But yeah, like that's kind of it for the story. I think it took me like 8 hours or so my first time through.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. And it goes by pretty quick. And there's only like maybe 2 points where you have to grind levels a little bit just to progress with the story. But those are done pretty quickly if you just do whatever activities outside of main storyline. But the game, man, I don't know what else to say about it because like there's so many different changes and I can go into so much minute details into all the things that make Destiny better. But then again, they've also done or have forgotten to add things that I'm like, why didn't you put this thing in the game that you already had in the game? So it's like, man, but I will say like a lot of the stuff that is in the game it makes it much better. They have simplified things a lot. Little stuff like the weapons and armor that you pick up. I think everything, even up to like legendary and exotic gear, they all have their weapons and like the armor perks unlocked when you get them. So you don't have to like put on a piece of armor, either burn motes of light, which don't exist anymore, thankfully, or wear the piece of armor and play the game with that piece of armor equipped to gain XP for that armor so that you could then unlock the perks that you want to use for that piece of armor. So now everything that drops is just automatically, okay, here, you have everything unlocked. You don't have to like burn or grind XP with this thing equipped or whatever. So that is really cool. And another way they simplify things is that all the gear has static rolls on them. Meaning, so you don't have to go through the grind of like, I know a lot of people were trying to like grind for like the perfect pulse rifle or something like that because it had to have these specific perks on it. That is a thing of the past because now every single weapon in the game has just one set of perks on it no matter what. The only thing that will change is its power level.
Oh, okay. That's good.
So yeah, it kind of takes away that carrot for like some people where they would want to maybe try and get the perfect roll, but now it's like, I guess for other people it makes it simpler so that you don't have to worry about like, oh, I got this gun, like what's the good roll on this? Like you'd have to kind of go and do research, and sometimes like I definitely did that just to see like, because I didn't really care that much about the minutia of all the different guns and all the different perks and how they interacted with each other. So now it's, I guess, kind of easy that you can just safely know like, okay, I've got 3 of the same gun, which one should I keep? The answer is simple, because they're all the fucking same. So just keep the one with the higher power level.
That does make a lot of sense. It does make it more simple.
Yeah, it's one less thing to think about.
That's good.
Which is good, yeah. There's that whole shader fiasco that was going around that people were like up in arms about. I'm still kind of, I don't know. I don't know what to think of. Like, it's on the one hand it's good, and the other hand it's like it's a step back. So if you didn't know, if you didn't hear, shaders are now consumable items. Before, in Destiny 1, they were just an item that you had, and you applied it to your character, and it would change your entire character's armor color scheme to whatever the shader was. Now the way it works is that you get, they're each shader's consumable item, and you can only use a shader on one piece of gear. So you can only use it on your gloves or your chest piece, but it also applies to different things now. So now you can apply shaders to weapons, You can also apply shaders to things like your Sparrow or your spaceship and stuff like that. So you have more options. And if you wanted to, like, you know, if you were like the artistic type and you or the fashionista or whatever in Destiny, you wanted to have full control over how your Guardian looks, you can kind of customize and mix and match different shaders for different parts of your armor set.
Cool.
But you have to like kind of grind to make sure you have enough shaders, and you can't do the thing like where you could do in Destiny 1 where you just want to switch shaders on a whim. Like, okay, today I'm feeling like a little blue today, or today I want to rock some hot pink and get my fire team all rocking hot pink just because we're crazy or whatever. But you can't do that because the things, you know, you only have, you know, so many shaders. And every time you apply one, you lose one shader. So that's kind of like, why is that? And you also have to spend like in-game currency to apply a shader to a piece of weapon or whatever. So it makes it more complicated than it needs to be, or it makes it more of like a permanent decision. And where before it used to be just like a on-the-fly thing, like, oh, I feel like, you know, this today, or I feel like switching this armor set and rocking this particular shader because it looks cool, and I feel like, you know, this works for me today. But it seems like that is not the case anymore. So I don't know. It's bad. Like, I also kind of wish, like, if at the very least you could just apply a shader to a piece of armor and then that was applied almost permanently to that piece of gear. But if you switch out a shader, you lose that original shader that you placed on there. So it's kind of like, it's just, I don't like that. I don't like that in the long run. But again, it seems like at least now I'm getting enough shaders. Like, you have a pretty big stockpile of them, so I'm assuming the more you play, the more shaders you'll have, and the less it might be a problem. But it still
sounds messy.
Yeah, it still removes a little bit of that like spontaneity that used to be there. Let's see, what else is there new in the game? You no longer really have to go to orbit all the time. That's a cool thing. You just kind of load up a map. There's a map now in Destiny, which is crazy, because you never knew where the hell you were.
Yeah, that's good. And I mean, I guess that just goes to show how much larger the game is.
Well, it's a little bigger. It's not,
oh, really?
I think,
it's
as
not
big as a jump
so?
as I might have thought it would have been. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's hard to quantify in my mind. I spent a lot of time in the different worlds of Destiny, and there's definitely more to do in those like patrol areas, but also like on the other hand, like some of the other like areas in the first game were more wide open, and that makes them feel bigger. And there are a few of those in Destiny 2, but it feels like they're more constrained, but at the same time they're like also more dense. So you might not have those like wide open vistas that you can just like, oh, I can see way across this area. You can't always do that in Destiny 2, but I feel, again, like there's more stuff to, like more nooks and crannies to dig into and find things and all that sort of thing. So it's kind of like a give and take there. I'm still kind of early days for me, even though it's been a week and I've put 40 hours into this game already.
God damn.
It's a lot. Put a full work week into that.
Pretty much, yeah. 8 hours a day.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's great. It's great. I spent, because I had played Destiny 1, they automatically imported my characters from the first Destiny. So I loaded the game up for the first time, and I had all three of my characters. Because I think I forget what the specifics were, but I think you just had to reach level 20 with your Destiny 1 characters and beat the original story mission. And if you met that criteria, then those characters would then import into Destiny 2. I thought there was going to be some kind of thing you had to initiate, but apparently it just happened automatically. I loaded in, and I had 3 characters already in Destiny 2. I was like, hey, all my guys are here.
Awesome.
But the only thing is that they don't give you the option to edit your characters before you kind of like start the game with them. So I was like, oh, fuck. So I ended up deleting a couple of my characters just because I wanted to like freshen them up a little bit. And I think I was kind of scared because I don't know if there was anything going to be lost in terms of the story, because I actually heard that there's a couple of like dialogue lines that differ if you're a new Guardian rather than if you're like a veteran Guardian from first Destiny. Things like they will, I think if you're new, like they'll explain certain things about the different the different enemy types that you're facing to try and give you some backstory if you're brand new. But if you've been playing Destiny for however long, you already know the deal, so you don't need this like expository dialogue to explain like, okay, these are what these guys are about. So I was kind of afraid, like I wanted my vet-ridden status and I didn't want to lose that. But I think deleting the characters, I didn't notice any differences between my first playthrough versus like my second playthrough. So I think that thankfully stayed intact. But I guess one of my disappointments, like every time I see something that's like that didn't change, because everything else in Destiny 2, it feels like they touched pretty much every part of the game and has updated it and given it a fresh look or something. But it annoys me when there's a part of the game that hasn't been touched at all, which the character creator, for example, has not been touched at all. It is the same exact character creator from the first Destiny.
That's a shame.
And I'm like, oh man, this and I'm sure it's pretty low on their priority list, but I know a lot of people like myself have been wanting, a little character edit, or like, hey, I just want to change my hairstyle, or I want to change like the face paint on my Guardian, or whatever, that sort of thing. That is still to this day not a thing you can do in Destiny unless you just completely delete your character. Yeah, it sucks, but I mean that's where we are, and it's been like that for a while, but I don't know. But yeah, there's just so much, man. There's so much in here, Frank. Are you excited about the raid? I am, yeah. Especially because I'm not sure how it works story-wise. Normally with the raid, the campaign will kind of sort of lead up to the raid. Like the raid usually is like kind of like the finale of whatever storyline that they push out in whatever expansion. Okay. Things wrap up in a way where I'm kind of like, how is the raid going to work? Who is the faction? Because I'm not 100% sure if who I think it is going to be in the raid. So, and there's another thing. There's like an after credit sequence in the main campaign of Destiny 2 that alludes to some craziness happening. And I'm like, I would have thought that would have been like something that they're saving for like a future expansion, or maybe the next sequel, Destiny 3 or whatever. But it could tie directly into the raid. And by the time you're listening to this, we will probably know what the hell is up. But as of this recording, I don't know what the hell is going on, but it is interesting to say the least. Like the story, cool. Mainly the story applications. But yeah, I definitely do want to try and run that raid blind. I think I'm set for that. We'll see how it goes. But the raid, man, yeah, the raid is always great. Again, it's like the crown jewel of the Destiny experience. It's like where everything kind of coalesces and comes together.
Cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I just love like a lot of the different changes. Like again, making the game much simpler. Going around on planets, like patrols still exist in Destiny 2, and they are pretty much exactly the same. Like you land on a planet and there are those little beacons that are around, and they have like these little super mini missions that you can, they're like copy and pasted pretty much from the first Destiny, which is again a little disappointing, but there is a lot more that you can do in those patrol areas. They added a bunch of adventures, which are essentially side missions. They are story-based, but they're not tied directly to the main campaign, like the mainline story. So if you... And there's like a whole bunch of them. I think I have like at least 20 icons across all the different planets at the very least. So there's plenty of stuff left that I have to do that I haven't touched, because I just pretty much mainlined the main story, because doing that gets you access to all the other content. And if you're playing Destiny 2, I highly recommend you just mainline that story, because you're going to get access to stuff that is very much needed, like a Sparrow, because they don't give you a Sparrow until you beat the game, which is fucking bonkers. I don't understand. They make you walk around all these fucking planets until you beat the game. It's crazy. I'm like, why? Destiny 1, you got your Sparrow like the third mission. Come on.
God, that's horrible though. Like they literally make you run around the whole time.
Yeah.
Until the end.
Yeah. Most of the time it's not too bad, but there was a couple instances where like I'm running a long way. This is okay. You're not going to give me my space bike anytime
soon? I sure hope I don't have to run back.
Yeah. That was another thing that was kind of weird, like finishing a story mission and not being automatically kicked back to orbit. I was like, oh, I'm just in the world now. I can do whatever the hell I want.
Let's go back.
There are fast travel points. You can just bring up the map. You can go to a number of different fast travel points on that planet, which is dope. Saves you from like going too far or having to like backtrack through this crazy like jumping sequence or whatever. Because sometimes when you go down a cave, it's just like, oh, I don't know how to get back. Let me just fast travel the hell out of here. Public events are fucking great now. Before you needed like a third-party site to go to just to see if you would get a public event because there was some like weird timer thing that was not revealed in game. But now they reveal that stuff in game, so you can just bring up the map and see if there are any public events happening or that will be happening in the next 5 minutes. And you can just go over there and wait and try and set up a public event. And actually, those public events are actually much more in-depth than they have been in Destiny 1. They even have it so that if you do these specific things, you can unlock a heroic version of the public event, which I guess it gets you more loot as well. So there's one public event where a tank will drop in. And around the tank, there are these like little force fields, and they have scorch cannons in there, and those do a lot of damage. But you can't get to them because they're in a force field. But if you knock down the tank or like open up its critical area, it'll drop down these little weird orb spheres, and you can deposit those orbs into the force field to unlock those scorch cannons. And if you unlock all 3 of those force fields, then you unlock the heroic version, which drops a whole nother tank on the field, and you have to kill 2 tanks now. But again, you get better loot if you can do it.
I see.
But yeah, there's a whole like there's a bunch of different ones. Actually, it's like only a handful. I think there's only like 6 or 7 different types of public events. But they all have like a heroic version, and everyone has to do a specific thing. It just kind of is a little problematic when you're with people that don't know how to unlock the heroic version, and I'm trying to do it, and sometimes they might beat me to the punch and complete the event before we meet the criteria for the heroic version. And I was like, oh man, we almost had it. We could have gotten good loot, but no, we got the regular. But it's
they had to settle.
People will learn eventually. It's fine. I guess, I don't know. I feel like I'm just pointing out differences between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. You cannot replay story missions outright.
What?
Yeah. I guess because in the old Destiny, like everything was on that like map screen that you could only access in orbit. But now, since you can access the screen anytime, they didn't want to clutter up that map screen with like old missions that are kind of irrelevant to you.
I see.
So the way you can actually replay story missions, you just don't have a choice really in the matter of which ones you play, because one of the vendors, you talk to them and they will allow you to do these meditations, which are those story missions. You can pick one of 3 of those story missions. You can do all of them if you want, but you pick one at a time, and then that's how you replay those story missions through that vendor, through that NPC. And I'm pretty sure that you only have access to those 3 missions for the entire week. So even if you wanted to like revisit a particular scene, you could not do that unless, I guess, you re-roll another character and play the story from the beginning. And
God.
it's I don't know, it's a weird thing. Especially because you had that freedom in the first game. Same thing with strikes. You can't load up strikes manually. You have to just go into the strikes playlist and just be at the whim of whatever the game wants to give you in terms of what strike.
What? That sounds like they might have to fix that.
Maybe. I don't know. It's bizarre. Yeah, so far right now, there's no heroic strike playlist either, which was like the harder version of the strikes, which got you more or better gear. I don't know if they're just waiting for people to gear up, or in terms of like their power levels. Maybe that'll launch later. I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything official from that. But yeah, you only have just access to regular strikes, and it's just, luck of the draw. Like, okay, I'm just going to play a lottery and see what happens, which was available in the first game, but you also could like just load into the basic version of the strike whenever you wanted. But it's not a thing now. Crucible, the PvP, I guess the thing that stood out for me is that they didn't include the private matches like they had introduced in the first Destiny. I forget which expansion, but so now again, it's just like you jump in and you can only play against or matchmake against other people. You can't load up if you want with specific your crew. Like, okay, well, let's have a scrimmage or something. You can't do that again in Destiny 2, which is like going backwards a little bit. Like, what, you had that implemented already. Why didn't you just put it in there? How big of a deal was that? I don't know, man. There's a whole lot of like other things that I feel like are missing. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but that was like one of the standout things. Like, really? You're not gonna, you had that. You figured it out. It was in the game, but yeah. Crucible is fun. I still enjoy it, like, even with the 4v4 change. I think so far there's only 4 different modes or 3 different game types. So you can choose between either quick play playlist or competitive playlist. The quick play playlist is Control and Clash, which are Destiny standbys for PvP. But competitive has 2 new modes: Countdown, which is we've been exposed to before in the beta and like the reveal event. The other new mode is called Survival, which is basically just team deathmatch, except your entire team has a set amount of revives available to them. So once those revives are run out, then you kind of have 1 life to live and hopefully eliminate the other team. So you basically want to eliminate the other team before your survival or your revive tokens kind of run out. So it's kind of like just a more serious version of Clash or Deathmatch. It seems like the competitive mode is kind of... Because I was kind of curious how they're going to handle Trials of Osiris, which I guess in Destiny 2 is going to be called Trials of the Nine. But it seems like they're just going to, mess around or change whichever game type is in the competitive playlist. So I think the first week is going to be Countdown, and then I don't know if they're going to cycle between that or if it'll be random, but it will cycle between at least Countdown and Survival for Trials. I'm not sure what other changes are going to happen with that, but we will find out on Friday for sure.
Cool.
But yeah, man. I don't know. Other minor disappointments. Sparrows don't have horns. I'm like,
oh no!
What? Come on, man. We had the horns.
Oh no!
We had them.
I remember the horns, and I freaking hated it. I freaking hated it every time you drive by me.
Yeah, my little ambulance horn, like, burp, 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 burp. Yeah.
Like, I literally try to get away from you just so like I wouldn't have to hear it, but I just always hear you behind me.
I had to let you know that I was always close by.
No, you didn't. It was fine. No, but that sucks though. That was actually entertaining.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm like, really? You're not gonna? Yeah, there's like a lot of little things like that, but I don't know. But then there's also a lot of other things that have never been in Destiny before. Like, you can get emblems now that track different like stats for your character. Normally the emblem is just like the background for your it's kind of like of your like gamer tag, and it just shows your gamer tag and your level. But instead of your level, sometimes it could show like how many kills you've gotten with a particular subclass, depending on the emblem, or how many like heroic public events you've completed. And it's kind of like an interesting thing, just to like show. It allows players to showcase different things or different accomplishments that they've had in Destiny 2 or things that they've done. So that's a different thing. It's never been there before, and it's kind of cool. The ghosts do also some nifty things sometimes. I've seen there's a Crucible ghost that counts how many kills you've gotten, I think, lifetime on your character. And I think both in PvP and PvE. So like you whip out the ghost, and then it'll have like a holographic number coming out of the ghost and telling you like, oh, you've gotten X amount of kills here, and then X amount of kills in PvE. So it's like, oh, that's again a kind of a cool thing. Man, so much Destiny 2, man. It's really good.
It feels like you don't even know where to start. Like, it feels like you're just getting started, and you're not even sure if it's like where you want to start.
Yeah, it's just so scattershot, man.
Yeah,
because there's so many things. Like, I'm like, holy shit, there's so many things that change, and so many things that are like, oh, we kind of took a step back. I was like, no. I was kind of surprised too, like with the exotic situation, how many exotics are returning from Destiny 1. I was kind of expecting like almost a whole new slate of exotics. I wasn't expecting a lot of return exotics, but there are a fair amount that are coming back. But some of them come with like new changes and things like that, so it makes it interesting. Some of the exotic weapons, they're doing an interesting thing where some of them will have perks that proc when paired with another specific weapon. So they're pairing up like an exotic with a legendary, and they're kind of a pair, and they work better together, which is interesting. Like one of the old Destiny 1 exotics, the Mida Multi-Tool, which is a really solid scout rifle, has a partner now called the Mida Mini-Tool, which is a submachine gun. And I forget exactly what makes them better together, but yeah, there's some perk that might make them perform better, or like I think it might up your speed even more if you have both of them equipped at the same time. So that was like another like twist on the whole exotic thing, like just having a perk that only works if you have both weapons of that pair on you at the same time. So I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. But yeah, there's a whole lot going on in Destiny 2. I'm trying to rack my brain for other things to talk about, but I'm just having a lot of fun fucking Destiny 2. I've set up my second character. I have a third ready to go. I haven't done too much there, but my first two characters are pretty much even in terms of level. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's actually, I will mention also like some of the endgame stuff, like the Nightfall. I did that for the first time, but it seems like they're also throwing a wrench there. The Nightfall, they're kind of going back to year one in terms of making it more difficult or upping the stakes of the Nightfall. Because the Nightfall was basically just like a super hard version of one of the strikes. And they had different modifiers. Now there's a time element to the Nightfalls. So if you have to beat the strike in the allotted time, if you don't, you get kicked back to orbit and you would have to start all the way from the beginning.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
I remember it would just end. And then that was it.
Yeah.
Like you just like had to wait for the next opportunity.
That is if you played later in Destiny 1's lifetime, because if you played in the very beginning, the Nightfalls did the same thing. Like if your entire team died, then you would get kicked back to orbit. Here, it's a little more forgiving than that because your entire team can die and just respawn. It's not a big deal if you guys wipe. It's just if you don't finish it in that time, then it's over. You have to start all over again.
Interesting.
But it seems like they're still doing the modifier thing. So different each week, the Nightfall will change strike and also change what modifiers are active. So like last week, it was a modifier called Prism, in which every couple of seconds, one of the elemental types was the preferred damage type, and that elemental damage would do like 4 times damage or something like that. And you pretty much had to use that element for that given time. So you're constantly, throughout the entire strike, you're constantly switching between elements to get the most damage while you're doing that strike. And there's also a time modifier to the strike because obviously you have limited time. And so they have this time modifier that adds time to the clock so that you can get to the end before, time runs out. Last week's modifier was that you just had to kill enemies, and killing enemies would add seconds to your clock.
Cool.
I think this week there's like I forget what they call it, but there's like rings that will appear on the map, and you have to go through those rings to get more time added to your clock. So there's going to be different things that add time, and then there's also probably going to be some other modifier that changes the way you might do damage or something else that you might have to consider. So they do interesting things there, but there's also like a premiere version of the Nightfall, which is fucking even harder than the regular Nightfall. I'm trying to remember what the difference was, but I know it's a higher light level or a higher power level right now. So it's like 300 for the premiere version, but it's only like 240 for the regular Nightfall. I know there's one other change, but I can't remember it offhand. But I'm not even high enough power level to attempt it myself, so I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of changes, a lot of questions still in the air about the future of Destiny 2. I'm sure there will be more secrets revealed as the game goes on. They announced their kind of like roadmap for the first month of Destiny. Zur has still not shown up. He's coming up on Friday, so I'm curious how Zur works, what he's going to be selling. So yeah, it's I'm going to be playing a whole lot more Destiny. That's for goddamn sure. But it is very cool so far. I love the way the factions work now. It's great, man. You can just like turn in faction points and stuff like that. You just get tokens and you know what the gear set looks like. They do a thing like if you preview like what the faction gives you, it shows you your guardian in their entire, like, because each faction has an armor set, and it'll show you what that armor set looks like on your guard. And so like, oh, that looks really cool. I should focus on getting this faction up so I can get that armor set because it looks really fucking cool. But man, it's Destiny 2 is legit, man. It's really good.
It's pretty awesome. It sounds like there's a lot going on, which is a good thing.
Yeah. There's no better time to play Destiny than right now.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we set aside about a 30-minute block, and you pretty much filled it.
I'm pretty sure I could keep going, but it's like I gotta cut it off at some point.
No, I know. No, I mean, by all means, if you want to, but
no, I think I'm good for now.
That's cool. That's cool. That's sounds like you're actually excited.
Yeah, it's dope, man. It's dope. Like today, I was doing. I bought these treasure maps and like trying to find where these treasure chests were, and I was like, that was kind of a fun thing because they show you where they are on the map, but the map doesn't show like elevation or where, because there'd be like caves and stuff that it might be in. You might be in the right spot, but you might not be in the right elevation. But those the markings on the map will have like hints to give you an idea of like where to look. And I was just doing that stuff and like going throughout the world and just trying to find these treasure chests. Like I was given a pirate map or something. It's like, okay, fucking Destiny 2 is dope. But yeah, man, that's
nice.
That's my piece on Destiny 2 for this week.
Well, for this week, I'm sure we'll hear more about it next week.
Hell yeah, I gotta talk about that raid, man.
Yeah, man. I'm actually excited to hear about that too, because it's so soon, and
yeah,
I don't know. I had the question. I'm like, so do you think I should get back into Destiny? And you're like, yeah, I know you're gonna say yes. And I know some friends of mine that are listening, they're like, yes.
I was actually going to say no because you deserted me last time.
I didn't desert you. You helped me out, and I appreciated it. I don't know. I just kind of just fell off. Mm-hmm. Like I just never continued playing.
It happens.
But yeah, man. I think I don't know. It seems like this game is pretty legit. And with some changes that are coming, you might see me on Destiny.
Okay.
You might.
What's changing? I don't understand.
You know what's changing. I just don't want to say right now.
Okay. So, fair enough.
But yeah, cool. Is it safe to move along? Safe to move on.
I'll make it official, Frank. How about this? What have you been playing, my friend?
Okay.
Wait, no, I'm joking.
It's like, one more thing, wait. So I picked up the Mega Man Legacy Collection, the second game. I have the first game as well, but I have it for the 3DS, and I actually have not played that yet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I have played the games on it, so right. It's not anything crazy. But I picked up Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 actually when it came out about a month or two ago.
Yeah.
And so the collection holds Mega Man 7 through 10.
Yep.
So I remember Mega Man 8 as being like, I don't know what it was, but when I was growing up, that game, I loved that game. I loved playing that game, and I was just like, oh, Mega Man 8 is on this Mega Man Legacy Collection. Let me get it just for that game. Uh-huh. Man, I gotta tell you, it did not hold up well at all.
Oh,
like
no.
it's well, so the game specifically that I've been playing on that collection is Mega Man 8, and I think with age I took off the rose-colored goggles, the rose-colored glasses, and
it happens sometimes.
Yeah, the thing is, I think I should have seen it. I think I should have seen it a long time ago, but yeah, that game has not held up well. So the story with this game is Mega Man is doing Mega Man stuff, and there's this like alien force that is in space that these two alien forces, you could see like it's a light and a dark force. They collide, they like fight with each other in space, and they collide with each other. And so when they collide with each other, the light side remains whole but gets knocked out and gets sent to Earth's orbit, the dark side gets splintered into fragments, and it turns out, and so it splinters off into 8 fragments, and and these fragments all also follow the light entity to Earth, and these fragments actually they happen to come across the robot masters in this game.
Okay.
So basically, when you defeat a robot master, you not only get their power, but you get their dark fragment. And so, yeah, so that's basically the story with the game. This was one of the first few times, I think, that this game came out, I think, in 97. And they were kind of incorporating anime scenes into the Mega Man games at the time. So Mega Man X4, Mega Man 8, and Mega Man X5, and so on and so forth. But even those scenes were horribly voice acted. Oh my god, I think they had the same voice actress doing the voices for everyone.
Wow.
With the exception of obviously they had to have masculine voices for Dr. Light and Dr. Wily and the Light Entity character duo, and but everyone else I think was voiced by the same voice actress, and oh my god, it was so bad. Okay, there was one instance, and I'll get back to the game, but there was one instance where the voice acting was so terrible you could literally hear a mistake in the dialogue. So
oh, no. Wow.
It's the most hilarious thing. So Dr. Light, the terrible voice actor, terrible. But Dr. Light Dr. Light's talking about Mega Man. No, he's talking to Mega Man about I think he's explaining to him about the dark fragments, right? And so they leave the room. So the Light Entity duo, the Light Robot duo, is asleep because they find him. He's asleep in the lab, and he wakes up and he has all these visions of what happened in space where he collided with the dark element and so on. So he wakes up and he sees that they have the dark fragments that have already been collected. So he crushes it and he gets angry. He flips out and he flies out of the room. Right, he flies out of the lab. He breaks a hole in the ceiling, and then Dr. Light and Mega Man come rushing back in. And Dr. Light says something. He says something along the lines of, he's like, okay, he was just saying Dr. Wily can't get his hands on these dark fragments. And then when the robot flies out of the room, he's like, you've got to go after him. You've got to go and get those dark fragments back from him, Mega Man. And I'm like, wait, was he about to say Wily? Because that's what it was. That's what he had just read in the script. They didn't even bother changing that or re-recording that. You could literally hear that mistake. And I was like, holy fuck. I didn't notice it in the 90s. I noticed it now, and I'm like, holy shit. That's a thing that happened.
Oh man.
So back to the game, right? The game, I think the reason why I like the game so much was because it's very pretty to look at, especially for its time. It hasn't really aged that well, but it's very vibrant in its colors, and the thing is, to me, it seemed really simple, really just not quite there.
What, in terms of the visuals or the gameplay?
In terms of the gameplay and just the overall style of the game.
Okay.
It was really bare bones. There was not a lot of depth to this game. Mega Man could shoot and jump and slide and move left and right. That's really it. And that's usually how it was for Mega Man, back in the day. But this was we had moved to disc-based games at this point, and I would think that they would make him be able to do a lot more, at least make him move faster, but it's super slow. And then there's the bosses, also all terribly voice acted. Oh my god, they're so bad.
I mean, that was the era, man. You remember Symphony of the Night, fucking amazing game. Voice acting is not fucking great.
The voice acting in Symphony of the Night, I will agree, is not good, but it was still miles better than this. Like miles better than this. Like
wow.
the the Robot Masters, man. Like, oh my god. Okay, so you fight 4 Robot Masters in the first half, and then 4 Robot Masters in the second half, and then you have what comes after. Or say first, third, second, third, and then what comes after, the Wily stages and so on. So I think like Grenade Man is probably the worst culprit. Grenade Man or Frost Man, they're the worst culprits of horrible voice acting. Like it is Frost Man. Frost Man sounds like a special person.
What's wrong with
almost
that?
Full blown. No. It's not even. There's not even like character behind it. It's just like sound like an idiot.
Wow.
That was the direction that the voice actor got. Sound like a moron. And that's what you get. It's like the voice. Oh my god. Why was it so bad? Okay. I'm sorry. That's it for the voice acting. It's all terrible. So yeah, the game moves very slowly. It has some like interesting mechanics to it that I appreciated. Like there's this one instance where you have to like basically surround yourself in this bubble casing, and you have to basically navigate yourself from like one end of the room to the other with like spiked balls like traveling either which way. So it's like, okay, that's one thing that's like kind of different. And then there's also a part where there's like you're in Clown Man stage. And Clown Man stage is basically like it looks like a giant theme park or like a giant like toy factory. And there's this part where these toys are about to like hit a bell on a clock. And so there are these platforms that you're on that have circles, O's and X's on them. And then if you're standing on an O when the toy in the background hits the bell, then you're safe. But if you're standing on an X, you get hit by something. And then they start throwing other elements into the mix. They start throwing like question marks where you don't know what it's going to do if you land on a question mark, or they throw in like the obvious like death symbol and like the skull and crossbones symbol. And if you stand on that, then you fall through actually, and you pretty much die. So they have like some interesting things, but the game as a whole just seems very, very bare bones. Like it just seemed like very incomplete. And I think they needed to do more. And surprisingly, like the Game Boy Advance game, Mega Man and Bass, or Rockman and Forte, that people know, is so much better. And it does what I think that game tried to do so well. And Mega Man 8 just falls short in almost every way. And it seemed a little, also the game as a whole also seems a little childish, like a little like it seems a little too much for kids.
Okay.
And I understand Mega Man X is like more mature, but Mega Man, it was never really like super kid friendly. It was just kind of like, kids like it, adults like it, kind of meet in the middle somewhere. Well, but this was like really geared towards kids. And I think the lush visuals adds to that, which kind of detracts from the overall game. Well,
they did have that cartoon show going around the same time, right?
Yeah. Super Fighting Robot.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did. And the thing is though, that cartoon show wasn't like super kid friendly. Like it was geared to kids, but it had like some adult stuff going on in it, especially when the episode when X showed up. And I was like, oh shit. I'm like, Mega Man X is here. That episode was like crazy. But yeah, like this game, another reason why I say this game seems too like kid friendly, like kiddish, is just like you have like Mega Man and all of his pals, like Roll and Rush and Beat and Eddie, and I'm like, yeah, there's this one sequence actually in Tengu Man stage, which is he's probably like the best boss, him and I think Sword Man. But Tengu Man, there's this part of the stage where you're just in the air completely, and you have to ride on Rush, and there are these little these little like capsules. These capsules are freaking balloons with stars on them. That's like kind of like the aesthetic of the game that you're getting.
It sounds, you say that and it's evoking Diddy Kong Racing for me.
True. So yeah, so when you hit these capsules, like they have these like icons for like the other three characters that will be able to assist you in the stage. So you can get Beat, you can get Eddie, you can get I forgot the big robot dude's name, but yeah, so they like all like help you, and the music is like really chipper and really happy. It's like a Kirby game, man, but it's like Mega Man, and I'm like, God, you know. So it's I love this game back in the day, and I don't get me wrong, I was playing the game and I was like, nostalgia was like hitting me, but I'm like, God, but I don't. No, I didn't. Why did I like this game so much? Like I couldn't stop myself from playing it, but it's just like
it was a simpler time, Frank.
It was.
You were a simpler person.
No, you know that I still have the actual like PlayStation disc, like the game, the case, the 20th anniversary Mega Man 8 version, like PlayStation disc version. I still have it.
Okay.
Somewhere. It's still here somewhere. But God, I was like, oh.
I know I rented that game.
You did?
Yeah. I don't remember much about it, but yeah, I rented that game. And I was like, I don't know. I guess I don't get Mega Man, so whatever.
I'm gonna go so far as to say it's not the best entry. It's not the best entry, especially if you want to start with Mega Man. It's not the best one. Now,
the way you say that, it sounds so civil. It's not the best.
It's not the best entry. It's not the best entry. Like I played the shit out of that game. I beat it back and forth, left and right. But I got all the secrets and all that stuff. But it just doesn't hold up well for me now. And I'm like, ugh. But I will say I have not played Mega Man. Excuse me, I have not played Mega Man 9 or 10. And I know, travesty, but I'm
like ever?
gonna give no, never.
Oh
never.
Wow, okay.
Even when it came out like on PlayStation Plus, like way back, like 2011 or something. Like I never played it.
I figured you would have been all over that.
Yeah, I will be because I hear they're really good.
Yeah,
but yeah, Mega Man 8. I was just like, Mega Man 8. Yeah, let's play Mega Man 8 again. Oh God.
That was a mistake.
That was a mistake. It does not hold up well. It really doesn't. But for nostalgia reasons, I was still kind of like, all right, I remember this happens here and I have to do this here and this is what I have to do to get this thing. So that was pretty much keeping me going. But that's it. Like the game, super childish, super like just the voice acting and the anime cutscenes are terrible. Like, oh my God. Even the music is like super chipper, and I'm like, I'm like, stop it. So,
man, it's things like that make you appreciate Metal Gear Solid so much more.
That's what I thought about Metal Gear Solid when you spoke about Castlevania, because like we had Metal Gear Solid,
but that didn't come out until like 2 years after the fact, or at least compared to Mega Man.
Yeah. But I'm just like,
they raised the bar.
They did.
Yeah,
they did. It's like I think Metal Gear Solid is like one of the main reasons why we have like professional voice actors to this day. Like that raised the bar, and now we have like all these AAA video games with like amazing voice acting, like all across the board, and
performance capture now even.
Yeah, and And I think Metal Gear Solid. I think we have to thank Metal Gear Solid for that, at least to some degree.
Of course.
But before that, oh my Lord,
so bad.
So bad.
It was the Dark Ages.
So bad.
Until Hideo Kojima uplifted us.
Yeah, like I have to say, Mega Man X4. Mega Man X4, they use the same voice actors.
Wow.
The same voice actors.
Got to keep that consistency.
It's shit. They made Mega Man X sound like Mega Man, who sounded like a girl, because he was voiced by a woman. And I'm like, no. No. But And I'm like, I was fine. I accepted that. But then like Zero was the same voice as Duo, the light robot in this game.
Okay.
And God.
Yes, we know, Frank.
It was so bad.
You love the voice acting.
At least it was still better than Mega Man 8. The voice acting in Mega Man X4.
Okay.
Was still way better than Mega Man 8, but that's not saying much. So, all right, I'm done. I'm done. Mega Man 8. If any of you listening actually likes Mega Man 8, then that's awesome. More power to you, because I used to love that game. I don't anymore, and I think for some reason this is why sometimes these collections can't be like, they can't come out like they because you play the old games, you're like, why did I like this again?
Sometimes it just needs to stay in the past.
Sometimes
leave it buried.
You can tell like buried. You can tell like some games are definitely a product of their time, and they could just stay there.
Yeah.
In the archives.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all right. So, but I will definitely try to update on Mega Man 9 and 10 because I wanna play those. I've played all the other Mega Man games though.
Okay.
So yeah. So yeah. Okay. So let's move into headlines. And before we do, you should go to innercitygeeks.com where you can follow along with us. So first up, in some big news and some other news. So the SNES Classic definitely is a thing. It's like the rabbit's foot. Can't get it, but at the same time, now apparently they've increased the supply dramatically, in quotes, because of the NES Classic fiasco and the SNES Classic pre-order fiasco that just recently happened. So Mr. Reggie Fils-Aimé, president of Nintendo of America, said that he basically said that the supply will be consistent enough that everyone should be able to have one. It's not going to be like short in supply, or, it shouldn't be super high in demand after, the initial supply rolls out, so everyone will be able to have one. He also says that it'll be consistent enough that gamers should not pay more than its MSRP, which is $80. So that, and this, he said like, he says that, but I, to be honest with you, I don't know if that's the truth. I don't know if that's going to be the case, because people are crazy, and people who are smart enough can create bots that can pre-order or order a console faster than you ever could as a human being. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to see, but the way these SNES Classics are flying, the pre-orders at least are flying off the shelves, that we're going to have to, if you really want one, you're going to have to really do some research and some hard work to.
But I think that only affects like the first wave, really. Like the people that have to get it like day one, and whatever, people, the resellers will try to get, the first batch just so they can try and
be the best.
Or just, make it so that the supply kind of works to their advantage. So they're taking all the supply and then selling it on their terms. But But again, like they said, this, at least the promises that they're making, or the statements they made, they're going to be shipping the SNES Classic well into next year. So they're going to continue making this thing and pumping it out there. It's not going to be like a one and done shipment.
Yeah, like the NES Classic. Well, the NES Classic was pretty. Yeah, that was a shit show last year. And in any case, in associated news, speaking of the NES Classic, they're actually going to be bringing it back. And they're going to be bringing it back as of next year. So if you didn't get one and you want to have one, you have another chance to get the NES Classic. And I don't know, what do you think about that?
I think it's crazy that they're going to do it. They're not going to do it until next year. It seems like, why are we waiting so long for this?
I don't know.
Unless they're just like so backed up on like manufacturing and stuff, like trying to get enough Switches out there. But I don't know if that's like related. I don't know. I would think that those two things would be separate, but I don't know. I don't know how it works with Nintendo, how they make their hardware.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it definitely seems like on the hardware front, they're definitely short in supply with like almost everything. Because like you just mentioned, the Switch is also pretty hard to come by. Not like super hard to come by as, let's say, an NES Classic, but like that's out in the wild. But you'd be pretty hard pressed to find a Switch. Like if you just like went to a store, like a local game store, like GameStop or even like Target, Walmart, Best Buy, you might not find one very easily. So it seems like Nintendo's always been like short. Like they always give the consumers a short end of the stick when it comes to supply. They only make so many, and then if the demand is high enough, or if it's like overwhelming to a point, then they're like, all right, we'll make some more.
Yeah,
just to make people shut up. But but at the same time, if the NES Classic comes back, I'm pretty sure it'll be the same case as the first time around. It'll just be gone in a matter of like 24 hours.
Nah,
both
I don't think
pre-orders
so.
and regular orders. You don't think so?
No, I'm taking them at their word. They're gonna have a steady supply of the thing, so we'll be good. Yeah, I do appreciate though that they came out and kind of gave some insight as to their thinking process as to why the NES Classic was so limited. And I think one of the things, or one of the factors, was that they had looked at other retro console sales, or like those little pack-ins that have, 50 games on it.
Yeah.
And those were never like hot sellers. So they assumed, hey, NES Classic is probably going to be something similar, but they did not anticipate how, I guess, people's appreciation for one, like the level of quality of the Nintendo games, and just like the quality of that package. Like it's not, okay, we're just going to put in hundreds of ROMs in this thing and put it in, making it look like an Atari or something. It's like Nintendo. It carries more weight, and I don't know how they didn't anticipate the that level of demand, or at least that it would do better than the other stuff. But at least now we have an idea of kind of what their thinking process was, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I don't know. They should have at least, especially with like a stellar game list like that. Like for the SNES Classic, they should have at least, just kind of like, all right, let's make more because we'll definitely be able to sell these. And they just didn't. Well, at least so far, as far as we know.
Yeah,
they didn't the first time around with the whole pre-order fiasco. That was crazy, and I feel so bad for the people that like were like so happy, like I got one, and it was so hard to do it, but I got one, and then Walmart's like, sorry, but you didn't, you really didn't get one.
Nope.
So yeah, but we'll see. Hopefully everything that is stated is the truth, and we will be able to get our hands on one fairly easily.
I look forward to getting my own Super Nintendo Classic.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
Cool.
Because Nintendo's going to make plenty of them.
All right. we will have to wait and see.
Yep.
Wait and see. So moving on into other news. So Ubisoft Reflections, which actually made Grow Home a couple of years back, and then Grow Up, the sequel, is releasing a new arena shooter called I don't know how to pronounce this, Atomiga, I guess. I don't know. Atomiga? I'll say Atomiga. Atomiga, which will actually launch next week on Steam. Yeah. And it's so Atomiga is a 8-player shooter in which the players' forms can actually grow and evolve from like the small atom to like the omega. And that's the play on words, atom and omega. Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's yeah. So you got it. Okay.
Got it. I'm up to speed.
So yeah. So the apparently smaller exoforms spend their time collecting mass to grow into bigger forms, and the biggest one just destroys everything. So that's like a kind of like the gimmick to the gameplay in this game, which sounds pretty cool. And there's a video of it here. I don't know if you got the chance to watch it, but yeah, it seems pretty cool. I wanna try this out. when this comes out.
And it at least looks interesting, but I don't know. I can't get a feel for like what the actual gameplay is like, but
yeah,
it's got a cool look, and Grow Home was really dope. It was a nice surprise, and hopefully this is similar in that, it's like, oh, who would have seen something like this coming?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it seems pretty dope. I definitely want to try it out. But yeah, next week, mad early on Steam.
I think I'm more surprised that Reflections is still around. Fucking
yeah.
I remember they made Destruction Derby on the original PlayStation.
God, Destruction Derby, holy shit.
Right? Driver, remember that one?
Driver, holy crap.
Yeah.
I do.
That fucking game was great. I spent way too much time making my own like cutting up and editing my own like car chases and shit in their like video editor. It was fun times.
Yeah. So hopefully the game will be cool. And yeah, if you liked Grow Home and Grow Up, you should probably check this game out.
Yeah.
And if you haven't played Grow Home or Grow Up, I highly suggest playing Grow Home at the very least, because Grow Home is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So moving along in other news. So Rockstar is going to be re-releasing LA Noire, and they're going to be releasing it for the PS4, Xbox One, and the Switch. And the Switch version will include the original game and all of its DLC, and it also have console-specific features. And it'll also have gyroscopic controls and new camera angles that would work with touchscreen and all that good stuff. And the PS4 and Xbox One versions, the big boy versions, will also include the original game with all of its DLC, and will have like up-res stuff, enhanced lighting, new camera angles, and high-res textures. So they're also supporting 4K resolution for the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. So I don't know. I've never played LA Noire. Have you played the game?
I have, yes.
So what did you think of the game, and would it be worth trying it out for these new systems?
I liked LA Noire. It is definitely a flawed game. It doesn't do everything right, but it does some interesting things because of like you're a detective and you have to kind of guess whether people are lying or telling the truth, and kind of have to use their facial expressions as clues as to what's going on, and you're pretty much reading people, and that was an interesting gameplay experiment, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but yeah, I had just other problems too with the story and how it ended, but I did enjoy it mainly because it was like so different, and because of like the time era it took place in, like the 1930s era, and just you're driving around LA, and it's old timey LA and Hollywood, and but I will say like also like the open world stuff was like, it was technically an open world game, but there wasn't anything to do in that open world game. You're just kind of driving from place to place, mission to mission. It's not like GTA in that you're kind of doing all kinds of crazy stuff on the side.
Right.
It's pretty much just about the narrative and the story. But I did enjoy it, and I think it is worth checking out if it's something that you're curious about.
Yeah, I kind of am. And maybe with these more powerful systems, maybe they might have fixed some of the issues. Some of the flaws that you mentioned.
Yeah, I would hope so. And I'm trying to remember. I'm like racking my brain to see if I had played any of that DLC, but I vaguely remember getting access to the season pass, but I can't. There's nothing's coming to mind right now as to what that entailed. But that's cool that you're getting the whole package for LA Noire.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. I think I definitely want to try to check this out.
Yeah.
Whenever it releases.
This is kind of weird. It's also come to the Switch. That I would have never seen that coming.
Yeah. The Switch. I'm telling you, man. The Switch is coming up, man. Coming up pretty fast. So
yeah.
So moving along. So that game company. That's not me forgetting the name of a game company. That's actually the name of a video game developer.
Mm-hmm.
That game company who's best known for making Flower and Journey.
Yeah.
Journey is
masterpiece.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah,
I'd say that. But yeah, so that game company is making a new game, and the new game is going to be coming to the Apple TV. exclusively. And the game is called Sky. And this game has apparently been in the making for a few years. And the game seems to focus on playing. It's kind of like, it's weird. It's kind of like with Journey, you could play by yourself, but you almost always played with another person. But that other person, you didn't know who they were. It was just kind of like a random assigned person to you and your journey.
Mm-hmm.
But in this, apparently the focus is like local co-op, for lack of a better term. It's like they want you to play with like your family and friends, and they want you to play together and enjoy the journey together, like together, not like online. So it seems like the emphasis on the game is that, from what you can kind of tell. And the developers were saying that after the release of Journey, that there were so many fans that wrote to tell them how much they enjoyed the experience, and that, like if they could create a game where they could possibly play together with friends and family, and this is kind of like that idea. And I have to say that anything that game company does, I'm there. Like instantly. So I'm going to be checking this out. I have an Apple TV, so I'm good. I will be getting this, but I also digress. I didn't mean Apple TV exclusively. I meant like Apple devices exclusively. So it'll be available on the iPhone and the iPad as well. And it's supposed to come out this winter. So
I will say though, I did see them tweet out that it's not 100% exclusivity. It will be exclusive for a time, but eventually I think it will come to other platforms. I don't know what time frame that is, but they did clarify that, I think, on their Twitter page.
Cool.
Yeah.
Times, huh?
Yeah. But it's still weird that, their next thing is going on an Apple device. I don't know. It's just bizarre.
Yeah. I don't know, especially with the announcement today of the iPhone X.
The $1,000 phone? Like what?
Yeah.
The fuck?
What the fuck? Like I think a friend of mine posted online. He's like, I'm gonna start a GoFundMe to get one of those.
Man.
And I'm like, man, shit, might as well. There are people who started GoFundMes for less.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was actually watching that live stream, the Apple keynote, and I was like, wait, they're bringing Genova Chen? What's happening here? He's announcing his next game. Oh my God, what times are we living in?
Dude, I don't know about you, but I'm still looking forward to it, even though it seems like a bit like hammy.
Yeah.
That they're going to like just Apple, at least for now, but I'm still gonna check the shit out like instantly.
Yeah, I'm curious, but like the fact that they were showing it off like just playing with the Siri remote, and I don't know, it just comes off as like how simplistic is like the gameplay going to be, but I don't know, like Journey is all about the journey, so I'm excited definitely to check this out myself, but I'm also just immensely curious as how this is going to work, especially on like the touch devices like the iPhone and the iPad and all that.
Yeah, and if any of you listening has not played Journey, just stop what you're doing and just play it now. You can play it literally anytime, and it's only like 2 hours.
Yeah,
and it'll change your life. I'm serious.
Yeah,
I'm serious. It will change your life.
Yeah,
play it. It's amazing. So, all right. I think that's going to do it for headlines this week. And Alex is going to go ahead and take us through new and upcoming releases. So, what do we have to look forward to this week?
So, this week, the week of September 12th, a lot of sports games coming out this week.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that right off the bat. But not a sports game. First up, I'm going to say we're going to have Rayman Legends Definitive Edition. I put this at the top of the list just for you, baby. It's coming out for the Nintendo Switch.
Can I ask a question? I'm not sure if you know the answer to it.
I have no idea, but go ahead, ask the question anyway.
That's probably the answer to my question. I was going to say, what makes it definitive? Do you know?
I have no idea. I think I briefly looked at the Amazon page and they mentioned some stuff, some like touchscreen features, but other than that, I have no idea what's added to this version of the game.
Okay. I already have the game. I already got the game 3 times. I'm good. I'm good.
Until you do your research on the definitive edition, and you're like, well, wait, that's in the game? Oh man, game over.
Nah, man. I actually saw it. At Target today. I was getting something from Target, and I saw it there, and I'm like, really? And I looked at it. I'm like, no. I have the game 3 times already. I'm good. So,
but now you can take it with you everywhere you go, Frank.
I could take it with me. I have it on the Vita, so I could take it with me on that.
But
too.
No one uses the Vita anymore, man.
What? People still use it. Vita is a great system.
It was a great system.
It is. It still is a great system.
The Switch has eaten so
much. It could do so much.
The Switch can do so much more.
Damn it! It can. It can, but the Vita was so good. But there's just so many things that was just wrong with it on the marketing side, on the back end. But anyway, I'm not gonna get that game again. But I recommend playing Rayman Legends 100%.
Okay.
100%. You must play that game. It's so good.
Noted. But to begin the sports train, we have NHL 18 Young Stars Edition is out for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. I believe that is the more expensive version. The standard version comes out later in the week, which I will get to. But we also have this week Pro Evolution Soccer 2018 available for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Also out this week, Samurai Showdown 5 Special for the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation Vita. I should notice cross-buy and cross-play. Also out this week, I believe this is a physical version, because I believe the digital version of this has been out already, but Inside and Limbo is coming out as a double pack for both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Don't Starve Together Console Edition is now available for the Xbox One. Divinity Original Sin 2, the sequel has arrived. It is now available on PC. Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Dana is now out for PlayStation 4, Vita, and the PC. Maze, that's Maze as in corn, M-A-I-Z-E, is out now for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I don't know much about this game. I saw a brief. I think I saw I caught the tail end of somebody streaming this, but it's a weird game. I'm just going to say it involves sentient corn, and that's where I'll leave it.
Oh, Lord.
Where you go from there is your choice.
As long as you just did Inception, man. Put it into my head now. I'm just thinking about it.
Oh, man.
Gotta break that idea out.
It's going to be a trip, that's for sure. Also out to go with your corn, Butter and Friends Babysitter Sim is out for PlayStation 4. I put those together completely by accident, but it is genius that I did that.
Okay.
Also out this week, Dream Break for the PlayStation 4. Get Over Here, also for PlayStation 4. Happy Dungeons for PlayStation 4. NASCAR Heat 2 is available now for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Finally, Pan is now available for the Switch. But we've also got a couple of Friday releases this week, so here's some stuff you can look forward to at the end of this week. First up is Dishonored Death of the Outsider. This DLC for Dishonored 2. That's available for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Metroid Samus Returns is now available for the 3DS. I'm hearing excellent things about this game. And you know what? I was actually reading an interview of one of the people at the studio that made it, Mercury Steam.
Mm-hmm.
You know how Metroidvania is a thing?
Mm-hmm.
They're the only studio to have made both a Castlevania and a Metroid game. Let that stew over. I don't think the Castlevania game was that great. I don't know. I hear people talking about it. I'm like, that Castlevania game wasn't great. But still.
Which Castlevania game is it? Curse of Darkness?
No, I don't remember. I think it was another 3DS game.
It might have been Curse of not Curse of Darkness. fuck, I forgot the name. But the 3DS games, I know which you're talking about. Yeah, they weren't that good.
But it seems like under the careful eye of Nintendo, Metroid Samus Returns is really good. And I can't wait to get my hands on it eventually because, yeah, like fucking Metroid, so good. But yeah, so now out for the 3DS. And with that, they're coming out with a new Nintendo 3DS XL Samus Edition. Some Samus branded art on it. That is now available for $200 US. In case you wanted yet another 3DS. Also out on Friday, the rest of the sports stuff. NBA 2K18 Legend Edition is now out for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. NBA Live 18 is out for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I believe this is the first time that they're actually integrating the WNBA into their live game.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's been long overdue.
Yeah. Also
out on Fridays, NHL 18, the Standard Edition, is available for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And Dream Break is out for Xbox One on Friday, as is Tricky Towers, also on the Xbox One. And that will do it for all our new releases for this week.
And that means we're done with this episode. So before we officially go, we would like you to visit InnerCityGeeks.com if you haven't done so already, especially when we're going through the headlines, because that's where we are located and where we have a bunch of stuff sometimes regarding everything geek. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel called Good Games, and there you can also view, just more like listen to past episodes that we have on there, as well as this one. And hopefully you might be listening to that on there right now. You can also listen to us on iTunes, where you can leave us a review. It's the best thing that you can do for us, leaving that review. And just let us know what you think of the show. And no matter if you like it, if you think it sucks, just let us know so we can do better. And you can basically listen to us where all podcasts are available to be listened to. I also want to encourage everyone to click on the Amazon banner on the right-hand side of the InnerCityGeeks.com page. Every time you do that, it'll take you to Amazon.com, because I'm sure there's something that you might want to get from there. And whenever you buy whatever it is that you're going to buy, a little bit of that will come back towards us so we can provide more show and more content just for you. And you can reach us on all of the social media outlets, mainly Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at InnerCityGeeks. The Twitter for this show is at Good Game Podcast, and you can also email us at goodgamespodcast@gmail.com. And with that, that's another one in the books. I have a feeling I know which game I'm going to be talking about next week.
Do you now?
Mega Man 8. No. It might be Metroid.
It's Destiny 2 again for me. Why even pretend like I'm going to play something else?
It's going to start to become predictable.
It's a wrap. Yep.
But yeah, so we are done with this episode. We hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you for listening, everybody. And in leaving, as always, we say good games, everybody.
Good games.